for our final introduction, and the moment you have all been waiting for, he holds the distinction of being the longest serving chief executive of an LGBT organization in U.S. history, the president and founder of the LGBT Network, David Kilmnick.
Well, good evening, everyone. How are you? Here we go. First, I want to thank, let's hear it for Robert for emceeing. And also, as he just introduced all the staff, but our staff and volunteers and our board members are the hardest working people. Let's hear it for them as well. And of course, to our wonderful speakers, Marika, Mike, and Angela. Thank you so much. So thank you to all who have come here tonight for this powerful moment of reveal and redefine. So many of you, and it's so good to see so many familiar faces, meet so many new faces, have been a great source of support, friendship, and inspiration and community. The collective power that we share here together keeps fueling the fight that the LGBT network has been doing for 32 years. And speaking of 32 years, let me share how we began. And it was when I was a young 26-year-old college student, oh my God, 26 years old, 32 years ago, when I was studying for my master's in social work at Stony Brook University. And it came down to our last semester where we had to choose to either do a master's thesis or a master's project. And here I was, I thought I wrote enough papers in my lifetime. I was like, I'm gonna do a project so I don't have to write a thesis. And that project was to create a workshop or a curriculum to go into Long Island schools to talk about what it was like to grow up LGBT. And so I created this curriculum, got into about 7 different schools, and when I say got into, sounds like it was a secretive mission and on the down low, and it pretty much was. But no matter where I conducted the workshop, and it was started out in Uniondale, and went all the way out to the East End in the Hamptons, and places in between. After that 42-minute workshop, there would be students that would shuffle their papers, they would hit them on the floor, they would wait for everyone to leave so that they felt that they could come up and ask the gay speaker, myself, a question without anyone seeing them, because they weren't out and they were afraid of being visible. And so no matter what school I was in, whether it was in Uniondale, East Hampton, Sachem, in Ronkonkoma, or other places in between, the students had the same exact question. And they asked, is there any place I can go just to meet other people like myself? It was a simple ask, right? That's all they wanted, was to find a safe space to just meet other people. And there wasn't at that time, and that's when I said, okay, you know what? I need to start a nonprofit. I need to start an organization, and then I learned what a nonprofit was, but I need to start an organization that could create this safe space for the kids. And so what I created, as you heard back then, is what called legally Long Island Gay and Lesbian Youth. Now, 32 years later, you've heard about some of the work that we've done, and we've grown into a network that's serving tens of thousands of people. And by the way, the joke was on me at the end. I had to write a 75-page paper anyway. But it did become, my life's work. And so 32 years ago, I walked into a moment with nothing more than a deep sense of urgency and a promise. And that promise was, after hearing what the kids were asking and seeing how fearful they were to just ask a question with other people, that promise was that no LGBTQ person on Long Island would ever again feel alone, unsafe, or invisible. And, sorry, I'm gonna get it. And back then, no one gave me permission to start legally. In fact, it was the opposite. Every single person that I talked to said, this can't happen on Long Island. Long Island won't welcome you. There's no way that you could do this. And at the same time, there wasn't a roadmap handed to us There were no other suburban LGBTQ organizations that I could go to in the country for guidance or advice. If I went to Manhattan, they're gonna tell me something that's just not gonna work out here in Nassau and Suffolk counties. So what we had to do was to build new roads and bridges across Long Island, from the North Shore to the South Shore to Central Long Island. And at that time too, in the beginning, in the first couple of years, there were no grants, there were no press conferences. Lord knows we've had so many of them in the 32 years now. But there were no grants or no press conferences at that time. But what we had was just a fierce determination that we would build something here that had never existed before. So what started as a small safe space for LGBTQ youth in 1993 has grown into a movement. We became a network of power, purpose, and pride that has changed the landscape of Long Island, Queens, New York City, and far beyond forever. And here's the thing. We built safe spaces where there were none. We created community where isolation once reigned. We took on the bullies in our schools, in our politics, and in our neighborhoods. And we won again and again and again. And we didn't just show up in moments of celebration. We showed up when it was hard, when it was dangerous. We showed up when no one else would. And we never followed the crowd. We have always led for 32 years. And my friends, today we are being tested again. In this moment, we are facing one of the most coordinated, dangerous assaults on our community that we've seen in our lifetime. LGBTQ people are being targeted, erased, and silenced right here in our own schools on Long Island, in our federal and local governments, Nassau County especially, and across the country. And yet, here we are. We are still standing. We are still fighting. We are still building, and we are still thriving. Because we're still thriving because we are the people who do not give up. We are the people who refuse to be erased. We are the people who change the world, not someday, but now. And that brings us to this moment. Tonight, we just don't reveal a new logo. We reveal a vision for the next chapter of our movement. So I now invite you to take a look at the two TV screens and what has brought us here and where we are going.
Across 32 years, what began as a safe space for LGBT youth grew into a movement that's changing the world. From education came safe spaces. Safe spaces became community centers. From community centers came a sense of belonging. From belonging came a Long Island changed forever. In 2006, we became a network, building safe schools, creating LGBT senior housing, fighting for equality, and celebrating pride. Our legacy is pride. Our mission is safe spaces. Our vision is thriving together and changing the world.
Now, I love that video, and for those of you who know me well, you know it would have been 5 minutes longer if I had my way. But thanks to you guys at the agency, like, nope, 1 minute, that's it. So, But what you just saw in the 60 seconds plus was a legacy of pride and a future of thriving together. And that tagline you saw, thriving together, is not just a design decision. Rather, it is our collective manifesto. It is our response to a world that wants us to shrink. It is our refusal to go back into the closet, to go back in time, or to go back at all. We are not here just merely to survive. We are here to thrive. Let me tell you a little bit about how we're going to be thriving. We're going to be thriving together by reaching and serving more people in more places, in more ways than ever before. From our youth to our elders, from our schools to our senior housing, from Queens, the Midtown Tunnel, to the East End in Montauk. No one will be left behind. We will be thriving together by expanding community and connection for those who need it most, especially LGBTQ adults in the 21 to 60 range, so often forgotten in services. And as a result, we will reduce isolation, foster belonging, and create joy. And we will be thriving together by building institutions that center our humanity. And that means benchmarking inclusion in schools, in healthcare, in places of faith, and in government. And I've been saying this for 32 years, but let me be clear. If an institution touches lives, then it will be held accountable for the lives of our people too. And we are doing this not as an organization quietly working behind the scenes. We are doing it as a movement boldly walking out in front, just as we have done for 32 years. And our new visual identity reflects exactly that. Take a look at it. It's bold, it's proud, it's unapologetic, it's modern, and it's defiant. But most importantly, it reflects you. Every one of you who stood with us, who built this network brick by brick, who believed in the power of safe spaces to save lives, who believed in the power of visibility to change culture, who believed that justice is not optional, and that when we don't retreat, we rise. So tonight is not just a celebration of a rebrand. It's a reaffirmation of who we are. And it's a declaration of where we're going together. We've changed the world before, and we're about to do it again. We are the New York LGBT Network, and we are just getting started. Thank you.